Welcome back to Old Coin Adventures. What if a Kennedy half dollar in your collection was struck from a die that didn't get the design right the first time? Or even the second? That's what makes the 1964 D. Kennedy half dollar so fascinating. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary silver half dollar. But look closely at the obverse, because on the right example, parts of the lettering and date can reveal something much more unusual. A triple design, hidden in plain sight. And the difference between an ordinary 1964 D half dollar and a genuine FS 103 variety could be much more than just a few extra lines on the surface. In this video, we'll show you exactly what collectors look for, how this unusual tripling was created, how to avoid confusing it with ordinary damage or machine doubling, and most importantly, how much a genuine example has actually sold for at auction. We'll also explain where you can have one professionally authenticated, and where you could sell it if you've discovered the real variety. So if you have a 1964 D. Kennedy half dollar sitting in an old collection, drawer, or coin jar, don't put it away just yet. Take another look, because the smallest details may be the ones that matter most. Stay with me until the end, because the final auction result may change the way you look at this old half dollar forever. Before we investigate the variety, let's understand the coin we're looking at. The 1964 Kennedy half dollar was designed shortly after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The obverse portrait was created by Chief Engraver Gilroy Roberts, while the reverse was designed by Frank Gasparo. And 1964 was a very important year for this coin. It was the first year of the Kennedy half dollar, and it was struck in 90% silver and 10% copper. The coin weighs approximately 12.50 grams and measures about 30.6 millimeters across. The edge is reeded, and the Denver Mint version carries the small D mint mark. Now turn your attention back to the front of the coin. This is where our investigation begins. We're looking for the variety known as the 1964 D. Kennedy half dollar triple die obverse. This 103. And GC catalogs this variety as TDO-FS 103 with the Kanika designation DDO-003. But what exactly does triple die mean? It doesn't mean the coin was simply struck 3 times. The unusual appearance was created during the preparation of the die itself, when the design was transferred to the working die in slightly different positions. The finished die could carry multiple images of the same design elements, and then, when coins were struck from that die, those characteristics could appear again and again. That's why collectors don't simply ask, "Does this coin look doubled?" They ask a much more important question: does the doubling or tripling match the known variety? For S103, one of the most noticeable areas is the lettering In God We Trust. The tripling is especially noticeable around trust, and it can also be seen in the 1964 date. Additional doubling can appear around Liberty, the GR initials, and parts of Kennedy's hair. That's what makes this coin so interesting. You're not looking for random scratches, you're not looking for a damaged letter, and you're not simply looking for a blurry edge. You're looking for a repeatable pattern that matches the known S103 diagnostics. And there's an important warning. Machine doubling can sometimes make a coin look unusual. But machine doubling is not the same thing as a genuine doubled or triple die variety. So if your 1964 D. Kennedy half dollar appears to show unusual separation, don't clean it, don't polish it, and don't try to make the tripling more obvious. Protect the coin exactly as you found it, because authentication is the next step. And now comes the question every collector wants answered: what could a genuine FS 103 actually be worth? Now let's get to the part that can make this story very interesting: the value. First, a normal 1964 D. Kennedy half dollar is not automatically worth thousands of dollars simply because it carries the 1964 date and D mint mark. The variety, the condition, and the authenticity are what can change the picture. For the specific 1964 DTDO FS 103 variety, PCGS records an auction result of $94,000. That coin was graded MS66 and sold through Heritage Auctions on August 8, 2022. That's a major difference from an ordinary circulated example. Auction prices depend heavily on grade, surface preservation, I appeal, and whether the coin is correctly attributed as FS 103. In fact, Heritage also records an AU58 example of the FS 103 variety that's sold for a much lower amount. That shows exactly why condition and certification matter. So, if you believe you found a genuine FS 103, the first thing to do isn't sell it. The first thing to do is authenticate it. You can consider professional grading and variety attribution through services such as PCGS or NGC. Once the variety is confirmed, you can compare your coin's grade with previous auction results. And if you decide to sell, established auction houses such as Heritage Auctions, Great Collections, or Stacksbowers can be options for certified US coins. That's what separates a real collectible discovery from an ordinary 1964 D. Kennedy half dollar. And remember, this coin isn't valuable simply because it's old. It's valuable because collectors can identify a specific variety with specific characteristics and documented market history. So if you have a 1964 D. Kennedy half dollar, take a close look at In God We Trust, especially Trust. Then examine the 1964 date and look carefully around Liberty, the GR initials, and Kennedy's hair. You might be holding nothing more than a common silver half dollar, or you could be looking at a much more interesting die variety. And sometimes, the difference isn't visible from across the room. You have to look close enough to see what the mint accidentally left behind. This is Old Coin Adventures. And if you enjoyed today's investigation, subscribe, because in the next episode, we'll take another ordinary-looking American coin and find out whether its hidden detail is worth a second look.